whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're Team 5, and today we're going to tell you some tips and tricks on how to speak well. Not good. So, first off, I want you all to imagine a time where you were embarrassed talking to a teacher, professor, or maybe a classmate, and in a sort of professional setting, maybe even at work too, where you didn't know what to say, or maybe it was a very awkward introduction. We're going to teach you how to avoid meeting this kind of experience in the future. I'm going to pass this on to Adriana, who's going to tell you about a scenario that actually happened where there was a very awkward encounter.
Alright, so I'm going to be teaching you all how to do like an actual handshake. So in this picture, we got three presidents, our old president, Barack Obama. As you can tell, the guy in the middle has no clue how to handshake done. No clue. You got this going on, you're using your left hand. So this is totally unorganized, and overall it's just bad. So, learning a proper handshake is so important because we're going to meet people in our lives that are so important. Once you get a job, you're going to meet more people are higher than us, so you want to get that first person right. So I'm going to demonstrate Benjamin how to do a handshake just one-on-one. So, how are you doing, Benjamin? We're good. How are you? Good. Good. So now I'm going to do Brian and Benjamin. So can you come here, Brian? So say, you're doing like a presentation or something like, they're talking, and then they did a handshake for each other. So I'm going to start with Benjamin on it. So here you go. Thank you. And then I'm going to go to Brian. Nice to meet you. Then they will handshake each other.
Nice to meet you.
So this is a lot more organized. I'm not using my left hand, doing some weird motion or anything. So this will do for like our timing, perfect timing. Go to him, and go to him, and they go to each other. So now pass this on to Johanna.
I'm going to be going over 3 key elements that we were able to pinpoint that will help you improve your communication skills, both when you're presenting and in an individual professional encounter. So firstly, we have that it's important to over-communicate. A lot of times we think that people are going to retain a lot more than they actually do. There was a study done in 1990 by a graduate student from Stanford University who did a study where there was tappers and listeners. And in this study, there was 120 songs that were tapped out by the tappers. And their prediction was that 50% of the songs would be guessed correctly, just by people listening to the the beat of the tappers. And in reality, the listeners only got 2.5% of the songs correct. So it takes a lot more explanation than you think. So always provide more context and detail than you think you will need. Secondly, we have to practice the art of timing, both when you're presenting in front of people and individually. In front of people, you want to make sure that you're not speaking super, super fast because people can't understand what you're saying. Also, don't take super long pauses because people will tend to get distracted and look around the room. And individually, it's important to not interrupt people, make sure you're not jumping on them. And also don't leave those super long pauses because that could be really awkward for them. Lastly, we have learning the basics of nonverbal communication. 55% of how you come across to people is actually nonverbal. So it's not so much what you say, but how you do it. So make sure that when you are talking to someone that your feet are facing that person. That shows where your interest is directed. If your feet are faced away, then it shows that you're not really invested in the conversation. As well as when you're speaking, try and be upright and energetic. If you're presenting like this or talking to someone like this, you don't seem like you have something great to say. So these are 3 key elements that can really help you improve your communication skills, both in front of people and individually on a professional level. And now Brian's going to give us an example of how important over-communicating is.
Thank you, Rob. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Brian's dad portion of the presentation. This is an example of what happened for my dad because he works in the corporate business world, actually the international corporate business world. And he actually told me this story after we were assigned this, so I thought it was incredibly relevant, and I wanted to be able to share it with all of you. So my dad was a sourcing manager at JCPenney, an international sourcing director, and he went to Korea because he had to source the textiles there for the company. And one of the jobs of sourcing is to make sure that you go and check out the plant, but you also have to communicate with the workers and make sure that they are going to provide what the company needs. So my dad went to Korea, and he doesn't speak a lick of Korean. He doesn't know any Korean at all. But when he sent out the memo that he was sending to all of the workers in that textile firm, he had it translated to Korean with one of his team members so that he could tell them what he wanted in their language. He knows that they speak English because English is the international business language, but he went above and beyond and spoke Korean for them so that they would feel more welcomed and they would feel more important. And as a result, they told his boss that they were definitely going to be sourcing with us or with them, and that they thought it was a very, very kind thing to do. And to see a tangible benefit, my dad got a bonus for it. So it's a great thing to do. And now, we're going to do a skit here, and I need a volunteer for this. Okay, please. Okay, listen very carefully. This is very easy. I'm going to have you do 3 things. All you have to do is what I want you to do, okay? Okay. So here's the first one. Okay. Do not pick that up. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Okay? That was the first one. Alright. Next thing I need you to do is I need you to clap 2 times. 2.
And he's holding up 4 fingers, I guess, okay.
And for my final one, please, you can go sit down. So as you can see, nonverbal communication is also very, very important when it comes to speaking, because people don't know what you mean if your body language doesn't match what you're saying. So it's very important to make sure that whenever you're doing a presentation, you're also making sure that your body language is coinciding with what you're saying so that the people know exactly what you like. In conclusion, I like to think of speaking, mostly public speaking, as preparing a chicken dinner. You want to establish a good rapport like we did with the handshake. This is kind of the seasoning because you want to be able to allow people to be engaged with you and have that interaction. Establish a rapport with your audience before you start talking. Next is the action of speaking itself, which is just cooking the chicken, because you want to be able to just give your presentation in a clear, concise way, make sure that your body language matches what you're saying, and then you will be doing your cooking, and that'll be a good cooked chicken. And the final thing is presentation. The presentation is your body language. If the chicken is cooked well, but it looks disgusting, no one's going to eat it. So make sure that not only did you cook it well, but the presentation is good, and people know exactly what you're saying and what your intentions are. Do we have any questions? Well, thank you all for your time.